Hi guys, this is Slashy Santiago Zapata here, and today we are going to have this live stream with QuietGecko, our audio and music guy, directly from Bogota City. He's going to be discussing or sharing with us some bits of the work that he's done so far in NovaMundi, the excellent work which is really appreciated by everyone who plays. Everybody loves the music, and well, the audio is still work in progress, but it's good already. I mean, the special effects, the special sound effects, the sound effects rather.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think I asked QuietGecko Juan Carlos to join us today and share a little bit. He's got all the setup on his place because he wants to do some high quality sharing of the different pieces of music and the yeah, because I think he intends to tell us some details of how the one of the tracks of the game is made, which is going to be awesome and interesting. But I forgot to tweet about it, so let's tweet. I want people to lose
Let's
this
do it.
chance. Yeah, I'm going to just fill some space here
Mhm.
while some people joins and say that we are still on the Steam Game Festival. It's been great. Um, we have had a lot of wish lists and some gameplay videos, which is the most interesting part for me, right? Seeing people play. Um, we enjoy people playing our games, and it's very useful to see what they are doing. At least people is having fun. So if you're watching this, go ahead and download the demo from the Steam page. And yeah, I think we can go ahead. I think maybe you want to do a very short introduction of yourself, Juan Carlos, for people who doesn't know who you are.
Okay, so hi. My name is Juan Carlos Garcia. I'm also known as QuietGecko. I'm a musician and audio engineer and sound designer for games mainly, but also for animation, post-production, and just music itself. I got the opportunity to work with the team, with Slashware, for the version that we did of NovaMundi when it was called Expedition, for like 2 years ago now. For the version that we did, Children of Bachoe, and I don't know, it was great. It was challenging. It was challenging because the idea was to have Muisca inspired music, but I'm not like a very well studied musician around the folk music. So I know things. I've been studying various styles of music, but I'm not completely immersed immersed in the folk music here. Like I have interest and I play some, but that's not the same that living in the place and really playing the music, the native music. So I tried to extract what I could from different things that I like, from the things that I enjoy listening, with like from folk music to other games, like a lot of Age of Mythology inspired music for NovaMundi. And yeah, what I did at the end was just like try to let it like flow. I don't know, like let it go with it, and yeah, like I like the results so far. Like as always, you wish to have more time and to have more experience, or I don't know, like more more work. Everything always needs more work. Like the projects are usually not finished because you're done, but because you're out of time.
Yeah, yeah, and I think something similar has happened to the other parts of the project, because we are inspired by the Muisca culture, but we have done a bit of research, but we are not historians. And actually, the real information about the Muisca culture is very limited. So we have had to just mix that with our own visions and with our own fantasy aspects, try to complement the real history of the real facts of the Muisca culture. In this case, for the music, for instance, I have no idea like what's the real music for the Muisca, but
Yeah.
I'm aware that at least it should have survived in some way in the Andean kind of folk music, as you mentioned. But yeah,
Yeah. So for this session, I brought like stems, like different tracks. Even though like it's more specific than stems. Usually you have stems like a group of all percussion, group of all guitars. But I have like everything separated, like it was in the session. I did the music in Ableton Live, but right now I have the session up in Reaper here. So for this, we selected showing the music that is in the trailer right now. That is the exploration number 3. I also have the battle layers here. We have like a system when we have the whole music and a whole track with the same length. That is the battle music. So for example, I'm gonna show like really quick before playing the whole thing. Like we have here the main music, but you can add like the battle layer on top of it. So yeah, when you go to battle, like it just plays a whole new layer on top of the main theme. So that was like a simple solution for having like a dynamic system. So like right now, let's play it, the whole thing, and then we can discuss a bit about it. I don't know what you guys think. Like I can play the whole song and then play the whole battle, just like the battle, or I don't know. I'm gonna play the whole thing here, and then we can check a bit like of the different parts that make the song.
okay.
So here. so it ends a bit like abruptly because it's loopable.
Right,
That's
right.
yeah, that's one of the things that I've thought about like after finishing it. Like the track, maybe it's a bit long to have it looped, so it maybe should have just an end and then it ends, and you can hear more like the ambience, and we can change the theme after or repeat it later. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that this suffered also from like the history of the project, because
Yeah,
initially we wanted it to be loopable, but then right now, I mean, the way that we are using it right now is it's not being looped.
yeah.
We are finishing the track, and then yeah, it ends abruptly because initially we thought it was going to be loopable. But yeah, definitively we gotta probably improve that part a little bit. And yeah, I think this track is probably, it's not the first one we did, right?
No, 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 no. It's one of the last ones we did. I don't know. If, can I like spoil something? Spoiler
Sure.
alert.
Go
Like
ahead.
because there's a lot of things around this song that highlight what is happening in the story of the campaign. Like
Okay.
you can hear that there's a lot of of guitar and like the tambourine, and it's because in this part uh, a Muisca person is betraying his own people,
Okay.
telling the Spanish where they can find the village, right? So in the whole song, there's like this sad ambience for saying, and a fight between the flute and the guitar that represents the betrayal and how the Spanish took over the Muisca and even though they are trying to separate from each other, they no longer can. It's like a no turning back situation. So, for example, here, like this is like in my mind, like the betrayal, and then you hear here like the guitar in one side and the flute in the other side, like trying to overcome one on the to the other. Let me see if I can show just the flute and the guitar. Okay, here. And the bass is going crazy. Find the flute. This was stems for the recording, so everything is everywhere. Okay, so I'll talk a bit more about the guitars in a bit.
Okay. Very
Mm.
nice. I had not realized really this intent,
Uh-huh.
but it really makes a lot of sense now that you mention it. And yeah, I should also mention that these tracks that you made were based on that initial plot or initial campaign that we had in mind and that we
Mhm.
had a script for. I think that has changed quite a bit because we are no longer like following that
Mm.
uh, that story, right?
Yeah.
At least the current plot is. has some similar stuff because it's still about there's still some themes are similar, right? Like the Spanish invasion is of course there. It's just a little bit less personal because the initial one followed like these characters, Pacanchique and Asai, and like their story. And that's no longer the case right now. At least for now, it's not going to be. That
Okay.
campaign may be added possibly. But I think one of the things that we did in order to take this project forward was to decide to focus on a single thing instead of all the possible stuff that we could do. And
Yeah.
what we
Perfect.
landed with now is this Spear of Chacan scenario, which is not the Children of Batue campaign, right? But in any case, I think since the theme, the overlaying theme is the same, it really works well to convey this feeling or this feeling of despair, right? Like you know, are you going to be able to unite all the tribes? These guys are just like invincibles, right? So
Yeah, like that's the initial thought. Like my way of thinking about how to make decisions on the instrumentation or on the way the instruments communicate with each other. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't work out of that context. It's just like the context that was in the moment uh, that I tried like to translate into music. Yeah, to show
Uh,
you. Oh, sorry.
before we go into the next segment, yeah, I think Camilo was going to ask something. I was just going to ask Camilo because he knows, and I mean, he's got a guitar behind him, so
yeah.
he knows a bit more about music than I do. So maybe Camilo had some question or something to mention about this.
Yeah, I don't know how much. I don't know much on the schedule of this presentation actually. So I was kind of just listening, but I do wonder a lot on like how do you go about starting mostly from scratch, right? Because you actually started the project quite a while ago, and how do you decide which direction to go? Like, what's the topic? Just anything on the beginning, right? I was
Yeah,
wondering on that.
but specifically like for making the melodies are on everything or for.
Yeah, I mean, when you are starting a new project,
Okay.
how you go about it?
Oof, it's a tricky question because it's very different for every project, right? So for this one, I listen to a lot of music, like for all of them. I listen to like one of the things that I always do is listening to a lot of music. I did like a reference document, uh, adding everything that was like inspiration for this. I had like civilization music. I have Age of Empires music. I had Age of Mythology music, Rise of Nations. We also had other suggestions like around what do you, Northgard. We had a lot of Northgard tracks as well, and I start like imitating, trying to imitate things, and that's the way that I like find the okay. This is more or less the way that I'm gonna go, right? So I'm gonna have I try to how do you say that to decide like characters for say, and I knew that the story was about the Spanish and Muisca and a conflict between them, and I had to decide which instruments were representative of the Muisca and which instruments were representative of the Spanish people, and then I start playing with that. Like the guitar is present all the time in all the songs in one more or the other depending on the progress on the story that I was mentioning. So the instrumentation goes more European, uh, depending on the progress, and the flute is very like Andean music. So I play a lot with flutes, pan flutes, with ocarinas, with instruments that like I can show you. Like there's a lot of instruments around there. So I just start playing and with them and try to get like this is the only drum I used for the whole thing. because it's the only one that I have, and even though is for music from the Atlantic, I try to like I just try to use whatever I have to my power. Like I'm a guitar player, but I'm not like a very well versed guitar player, so I try to play whatever I feel comfortable, and then I try to listen to music that can like transmit the Muisca vibe or Spanish, but I don't go flamenco because like I can't do it. So I try to find balance, and when I have that balance, I just start recording, like playing ideas, and when I have like a good melody, a good idea, I put it in the I record it, and then I try to build around it. Let me try to show you very quick. I think this one has like. Okay, that's like the main theme. Tin, 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 tin. So that melody is like the source of everything around. Wait, see if I can find the other guitars. So everything else is like a conversation with that melody. It's like a conversation at the end. But we have all the time behind the thing. So yeah, everything plays around only like one melody. So yeah, that's something that I do a lot. Like I find like a main melody or something that is gonna be like the seed for everything else, and I just try to make a conversation in within the instruments, and let me see if I can find a place where the beat goes a bit with that. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question in
Oh
some
yeah,
way.
that absolutely helps. Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. So do you have more questions, or should I continue
No,
going?
I just wanted to say that, yeah, I took note of something that we need to do. And this is like a thing that is continuously evolving. And for instance, I think we need to incorporate back this progression of the Spanish reach over the highlands in the current game mode. Right now, we are like randomly picking one of the tracks, and I think we gotta introduce that back, because even if there is no, I mean, we removed like the different stages of the campaign, because initially when you created these tracks, um, there was like a single track per scenario, right? So a single track played and looped, in that scenario. But that's no longer the case. We have a single scenario right now, which is just long. But what we have now is that as days pass, it becomes harder because the Spanish get like a more firm grasp on the land. So I believe we can't think on instead of picking a random track, we need to go back to the idea of um, showing this progression, right? Like
Yeah.
that's something that I think may help a lot. Because you know, and I think that's one of the things we probably are going to discuss later on this stream is how audio like blends with everything that is happening on the game, right? And it
Mhm.
is not just like a superfluous thing that is like just for aesthetics, uh, adornment or secondary adornment, but it's like a primary source for the entire experience of the player,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's something that we gotta do.
Yeah, I think that's something that is gonna work a lot. Is something that I talked to you about before, like the mellow mix, the mellow mixes that will help transition between all those stages of invasion, for saying so. Uh, Age of Mythology has these tracks that is this uh, mainly the same tracks that they play on the missions or the any gameplay, but it's a different mix with same elements. So you can reuse some tracks without making it sound like you're repeating the same song, and that's something I realized as well, like of not having a loop, because in so long gameplays, a loop is always gonna be too much, and we also need to highlight the exploration of all the land, all the different places. That's gonna be a challenge too, because of the procedural generation. But I think that we need to make it happen, and then we need to leave space for people to hear that, to be immersed in this world. So for that we also need silence. We need not to be playing music all the time. uh, let me show a bit about the battle layer, and here the battle layer just by itself. uh, for that, I did, like, I recorded my voice a lot, that all the voices in the game. That's why it's a bit weird sometimes because it's just me putting like placeholders. But
And I think that's one of the things we are looking forward to improve in like the final mix, right? Like include different voices
yeah,
and instruments too, right?
yeah. And for example, here I played like like it was like native, doing chants in Muisca language. That was another challenge. Like I didn't like specialized in the language, but I researched a lot about it, learning how to pronounce it. I don't pronounce it perfectly, but I did the best I could. But I think that adds to the emotion and to the like, I don't know, that's something like maybe hippie esoteric thing to say, but like the energy you print in the music, it changes it because you're using the language. Uh, that has like an energetic charge. Even the consonant, the way that it's pronounced, it brings information. It has its story there. So in the battle layers, they are always chanting fire and fight, like, like, yeah, but not fight like fight, but uh, like the struggle, like the
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I am learning a lot about the audio of the game in this stream because we never like sit and discuss this kind of stuff because of you have like all the independence, that what's
yeah.
the you're independent, you are. I forgot the word in English.
Self-sufficient.
Something like
No,
that.
no, it's not that one.
Ah,
Mm,
autonomy. Autonomy is the
freedom.
word. Aut-
Creative
Like
freedom.
all the autonomy to work in this. So yeah, I don't think we ever discussed. And I mean, I didn't know that's what they were chanting, and that's awesome. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like a pretty nice touch.
Yeah, it's fire and stone. That is a word that they can use also for the struggle for standing to something like a rock. So I thought this brings like a whole additional layer of intention to the music, because you don't understand. It's the same with the with what I was explaining before. You don't know that I'm trying to make a fight between the guitar and the flute. That's something that I think, but that helps telling the story, and sound is that is telling stories. Sound and music is highlighting the emotional aspect of the game, or whatever we're trying to communicate, and also we tell a story with that. So the way the ambiances are built, everything that says a story, says facts about the place. So you the battle layer. Hello, battle layer. Ah, so this will play on top of everything else. yeah, if we think a bit more about it, like we could even create a more dynamic system with doing what I was doing, like just opening some tracks and not all of them at the same time. We could like be more granular about the system with this approach. Like for the time and the moment we did the first version, the best way was to do this, like just a layer top of the other one. But we could like add more specific things, and that would help also reuse more the tracks without making it sound like boring or anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think that also brings the question of using these middlewares and
Hmm.
like complex setups, because right now we are like just using our own audio solution to overlay stuff. Well, just using like basic stuff from Unity, because there's so many things that we gotta in the project. And yeah, I think in general, as I mentioned, the what we currently have for the sound, it sounds great, and a lot of people have mentioned that. Yeah, and even then, there are, and I know, at least from your perspective, there are so many things that we could do better.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, you're already like immersed in this field a lot. Um, One of the things, yeah, I think you could like instead of having a single battle layer, like just having different tracks and handling that in a smart way, that would give a lot of variety to
Yeah,
the sound.
yeah. I think like even you could do that within the engine, but using middleware is gonna be way better solution for handling those things, because we just need to communicate with the events and that's it. Pretty much everything else I do it like in the whole middleware, and that's a lot of time and a lot of room for like an opportunity to do more sophisticated implementations without spending a lot of time in the programming side. Like it's already done, right? So why not using it? Um, but because, for example, you like with the layers that we already have, we could establish a progression even in the battle. If the battle is not gonna take that much time, it doesn't need to go so intense. Like it can grow in intensity just by adding layers of the layer, like layers within the layer.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. I
that's
think even if our battles, I mean, and as we saw in the previous stream, um, you can pause anytime, because well, that's the way that the game plays, and the game is about tactical choices in that aspect, not how quick you are to micromanage your units, especially because it's a single player game, so we don't need that. But even so, I agree that, yeah, I mean, there are battles that are just like a you with an army of 20 units versus a couple units or something like that, and that doesn't need to go full like boom,
yeah,
jaka. That
yeah,
could be like something more soft. And then if you're about to die, yeah, there's so much we can do in that.
yeah.
I know that you probably imagine a lot of more stuff that we could do. We would probably, and well, there's depending on how the game does in this Steam Game Festival and
Mhm.
afterwards in the early access phase, which we're planning to go pretty soon. I think that's one of the things that we really want to invest into, right? Like having this audio aspect become even more involved.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the best approach for the procedural generation. Like I have ideas in my mind, but I'm always wondering like how can you uh, like make this dynamic ambiances, because like you set up like a place where, I don't know, like usually you say like, here is the jungle, here is the beach, here is right, and then you just play around with faders, pretty much like going by down and up volume. But in this game, like you can have a beach anywhere and a jungle anywhere, and yeah, like I'm very curious how we can approach that to make feel way more organic than it is right now, just like a static background. But
Yeah,
yes.
something important there is, well, we can, through the procedural generation, we can also place these anchors, right?
Hmm.
Instead of a human doing that, we just make an algorithm try to do that and be as little stupid as possible. That's what procedural generation is all about. But yeah, now that you bring that aspect of the environment, I think that's something that I also thought would be interesting to talk about. Not sure if that's what you had in mind to discuss, because we're already a little bit over half of the stream.
Hmm.
Um, but one of the changes we did, that we used to have beach, right?
Hmm.
Like we no longer have that in the latest thing that we have, because like the entire action happens on the highlands, so we don't have that, and we are still like struggling to add some variation and some variety rather to the terrain. But at least we're going to have mountains, like very high mountains, and then jungles, and then wide plains, and there's some rivers, and there's going to be some lakes that are not there yet. So yeah, there are definitively going to be at least different environments, and we are going to need to do a stronger job there, because right now I believe we are just using like a jungle ambience, right?
Hmm.
Uh, Everywhere.
Yeah.
So that could be improved.
Yeah, well, I think it's exciting to think about that. It's like uh, trying to deconstruct how the world works. Like, I don't know, like for example, a river. If we have a river that we don't know where it's gonna go, we could create like a polygon line that follows the track of the river, and then we have an audio meter there that is just a specific sound of the water that follows the player, and it's just gonna be like an audio source that follows a polyline, and that's gonna sell the idea that the river plays everywhere in the map, but it's just like an audio source following the path of the river. So there's a lot of solutions that I am really excited to discuss and to have like in the game.
What do you think about that, Camilo? Have you thought and some ways that we could implement that? And like because it was you who made like our current audio solution right now, that what we have. So any thoughts
Audio
about it?
solution.
Yeah, to call it audio solution is a bit much.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's,
no, that's actually a very interesting concept, about especially what Juan was saying there on the audio source traveling through the river. Um, but yeah, it's also kind of what he was saying earlier about you don't have to be playing music everywhere, and silence is also like a great part of expedition, especially if you are being out at the mouth for quite a while, and like there it's like going out in any sort of travel. At the beginning you're gonna be like, hey, yeah, I'm I'm
Hyped.
happy,
Yeah.
but after 5 hours you're just like, I just wanna get there.
Yeah.
So it definitely has a lot of that. I think most of the thing that we can play with is about the time that the player has been in the expedition, and what has he been doing. If he's like been just fighting nonstop for for the last 10 minutes or so, then show that in the audio somehow. Like people are getting tired, people are is getting hurt, demotivated,
Mm.
none of that. So not necessarily just about this is the mountains theme, this is the beach theme,
Yeah.
this is the merchant theme, but just following the player itself, what he's been doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Juan Carlos wanted with if with the middlewares thing, right? Even I mean, if it was like a commercial middleware, like the names, QuietGecko, I always forget
Wise
them,
or FMod.
or doing our own kind of stuff. But in any case, having that layer separation between the game logic and the state of the world and the state of the expedition, so that we can just communicate that state to that middleware, and then that middleware can decide what to do, and we don't have to start wrangling around variables and stuff.
Yeah.
Just telling, yeah, you know what, the expedition is very tired, and remember we are also near a river, we are at this distance to the river, and it's nighttime, so it's this time of the day, and I don't know what else, and then that
Mhm.
magic thing would solve.
Yeah, it's more like organic and like you said, like layers. Like if if we have middleware, we just need an RTPC, a real-time parameter controller that follows, I don't know, time of day and weather. And if we know that it's gonna rain in, I don't know, in half an hour, we can start making a layer of birds or all the birds in different specific spots or on the game. They start to get silent, and we can start hearing thunder before, and like having like a real system, like a real, because like we discussed this a lot with like colleagues, friends in the audio industry, that the core, like the soul of game audio is creating systems. The more like complex systems, not maybe the more complex, but the more that the more you spend on setting a system that makes sense for what you want to transmit with the game. Like like for example, here it's very important to have a system that attaches to that ambience, because we have rain, we have the rivers, we have the lakes, like all that could be like automated uh, uh, because of the game, of the player following the player, as Camilo was saying. And the game is gonna mix itself, it's gonna start behaving itself by its own, because of the generation, because everything. So yeah, it's something exciting to to create it, but a long way ahead. So for something like a last thing to show, I can show you. Here we have like a recording. I don't have everything edited yet, but like I re-recorded some guitars. Like if you hear some of these recordings, like I use them because I like the way I played it, but I was recording this as a demo. So that's something that sometimes happens, that is not a good thing that to happen, but it happens, and that's it. That you record, and you record like, oh, I'm not gonna record this very like professionally because it's just a demo. But then you hear other times that you played the same thing, and it doesn't have the same energy. I don't know, like the same interpretation. It's something weird with music sometimes. So here you can hear even the metronome, the click on the back, and I edited this like very roughly. Like with all the instruments, you don't hear that, but you shouldn't hear that in the music. Let me take this, find all the guitars, and I play the recordings. In the end, I think I'm gonna do like a mix between the old recordings and the new recordings, and that is gonna also help give variety with the mellow mixes that I mentioned. Really like this. the chords, I think. More layers of the same thing. I layer a lot the melodies in different like parts of the guitar, so it sounds very like, I don't know, like old chords. Oh, this part has a very beautiful thing that I liked a lot with the guitar. Okay, so here's the recordings. You just mute the cymbals. So now this is so much better in recording. Like I like this way more, but it needs work as well. Takes on the fly a bit. I really like this part in the guitar because like one guitar is playing, like it responds to the other one. But so you can know what I'm saying. Like, and this is just the down tempo. Needs to be adjusted, like edited, so it sounds more better. This is like a new thing. The other way around. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It's very different with the new guitar, right?
Yeah, what do you think, Camilo? I mean, I don't know if, but I have heard this track like a thousand of times when I developed the game, and I think I can really hear the difference with the guitar.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you saying
I,
there?
I I was asking like, what do you think about the changes? Because um, Juan Carlos just showed us like the new version with the recording of the guitar, and it sounds so different than what we have
Yeah.
right now. And I haven't heard like that track a thousand times as I developed the game,
Uh,
but yeah. So I was just wondering, what do you think about it?
yeah, yeah, I see. Yeah, it was really, it really caught me, especially when it was kind of like on each channel. Yeah,
Yeah.
each one of the parts of the guitar. I really like that. Um, yeah, I definitely like that. I don't know exactly what needs to be like improved or something that you said that needs to be edited. It sounds great to me, to be honest.
Nice, thank you. No, it's like that's not mixed right now. It's not edited. It's just like the raw recording. Like that's me playing without any magic, studio magic.
Nice.
So, but having a good recording, it just changes everything. It changed the color of the music as well. Like it adds so much to have professionally recorded instruments. Uh, and even though like I have muted, but I recorded a symbol just to have some highlights. Sometimes it's just sometimes it's not on the beat because I was just recording the hits. But having that at the beginning is it makes a difference.
Speaking of the recordings, how do you, especially now with the whole situation, how do you go about recording in the instruments? Do you have like something in your house, like?
Yeah, I have a couple like a lot of what you heard is recorded with a cheap mic, a Shure. This is a Shure C606 something like that. It's not a very good microphone, but I also have this one, an NTG3 is a hyper-directional microphone. Oh, I use this for recording a lot of Foley and like a lot of uh, sound effects, sounds. I do a lot of Foley, so this is like a very detailed and directional microphone that helps a lot. As I said, like I recorded with the other one because it was like a demo, but at the end I liked some in some songs specifically. I don't know the Spanish music, the native Spanish music. I like that one better. The demo, but it's a struggle because the professional recording adds so much color and so much life to the music that it's hard to choose between. But I think at the end I'm gonna just like try to play and mix and decide where it's worth to lose the quality over the interpretation. That is the hard decision. But yeah, like as this song, all the songs have recorded stuff, new recorded stuff. So it's something that I've been working like on other songs. Like this is one of the few that they don't have like everything edited. You know, the other songs everything is edited and is pretty much ready to be mixed. It's just that so much thing at the same time, like always.
Talking about so much things, well, we are over the 1 hour mark
Yeah.
right now. Not sure you had like any other things that you were planning to show us. We have a question in the
Uh-huh.
Twitch chat, and also whoever is watching in Twitch, there may be some issues with the streaming. We're going to re-upload this like from the direct recording because there seem to be like some bandwidth issues. Anyways,
Okay.
the question that we have is if there is any record of any, I don't know how to say this, chants, like indigenous people chanting, I don't
Oh
know,
yeah, but
or music from that area survived to today. I think, yeah, we talked about this briefly at the beginning about like if there is really authentic indigenous Muisca music that has survived to today. Um, I, I think maybe Juan Carlos can talk a bit about what he found out while researching. From my side, I haven't really found a lot. I think
Mhm.
a lot of the indigenous musical culture was like absorbed by the Spanish one, and then a lot of the original things were probably lost. But what do you think, Juan Carlos?
Yeah, that like there's people that try to maintain it alive, for say so, but I couldn't find a lot of documentation or a lot of old recordings. I found things of people like indigenous people playing in events or in some investigation of different universities. I have that documented somewhere if someone wants to be more specific about it, I could look for it. I don't have it right now in my mind, but I know that I documented it. Yeah, like you can find things that you can inspire from, but it's mostly people like I don't know 20 years ago playing or 30 years ago, but not very old recordings of those music. Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's a shame, but it's something that happened a lot in Latin America. Is that everything was not documented, and most of the tribes were word of I don't know how to say that, like oral tradition. Like they didn't document anything. They just taught their sons and their people how to do stuff, and nothing is written. So same with the
Yeah,
language. The guy that I found, it was the most versed in the language. It was an Argentinian guy that lives in Colombia, and it didn't even was a Colombian person. It was another person from another country that got interested and came here and started to study the root of the language, and that's again that's a shame, but it's what it is. So I tried not to suffer for that. Just try to let it flow as well, because even though we are not Muisca, we live here and we've been in the Andes, and we even though we are from the city, we have something because of living here. So the only way to discover or rediscover this is or travel and talk with the Muisca people. That is something that we should do as well. But but you can also try to just let it flow, like not being limited by what you know or you don't know, or by the traditional way of making music, but just like, try to express throughout music and be inspired by the Andes mountains, about the Spanish conquest. I don't know, like anything, like just let it go through you and express it, because music at the end of the day is just another language. It's just another way of expressing stuff. So it's try to break that limit in your head and treat it with respect because you don't know it, and just be humble and try to do your best to to spark that tradition on you, even though if you're the city.
yeah, I agree, and I think that also applies to other aspects of the game. As you mentioned, we are not. No one from the team has like an Muisca indigenous heritage like directly. Well, I mean directly.
Not that we
uh,
know, yeah.
but yeah, I think the game in all the different aspects of it, from the music to the visual style to the actual gameplay, is a result of the contribution of each individual member of the team. As an indie development team, we have a lot of like personal part of us like imbued into the game. Um, and I think that's fine, because at the end, this game is the result of like yeah, like what what is on us, right? Like what we have learned about the Muisca through our life of being here as Colombians, right? Not really Muisca people, but Colombians. which is very different. But still, we have a lot more of uh, like direct knowledge, or like we have been impacted a bit about it at least. So I believe what we are doing, and we don't, we are always to acknowledge that we're still doing research about it to try to be close to the truth. Um, but what we're doing is at least something that is helping preserve, or at least making people question themselves and wonder about this culture. So
Mhm.
we should not be like extremely strict about this kind of things, I believe.
Yeah, it's
And
not. We are not making like a Muisca documentary with this game. We are just trying to inspire what our heritage and what is around us. And as I said, like we just need to feel respect and like treat it with respect. Like it's not our idea to disrespect that our traditions or anything, but it's the only way that we can approach it at the moment, and we are making this game to approach it in some way. So I think it's fair as well to do it this way. Like it could be like more documented, but like doing a game by its own, it's a huge challenge to feel bad because we are not studying like 12 years of Muisca culture before doing the game. Like I don't know. I think we shouldn't be limited by that, and people shouldn't treat that like some kind of disrespect or anything. It's just the way that we chose to approach our culture and
I
our
agree.
heritage.
Yeah, I think that may be the topic for an entire live stream.
Yeah.
But I think we should be closing
Yep.
here. Thank you so much, Juan Carlos QuietGecko, for
No,
sharing
thank
with
you.
us the internals of how one of the tracks, because there are several tracks, but like the structure of one of the tracks and the process, a little bit of the process behind. And yeah, I think. Do you have any closing words you would like to say?
I don't know, like thank you, Flashware. Thank you, NovaMundi, because it was very challenging, but I had a lot of fun, and I discovered a lot of things, and I don't know, it's great to be able to just do whatever you feel, and the people appreciate it and say like, oh, it's a big aspect of the game, even though that you know that we have discussed about it, and I say always say that it could be better, and like the eternal internal struggle, right? So it's good to know that people can feel the effort, because it's not perfect, but it's made with the heart and trying to convey what it needs to be done.
All right. Thank you again.
Okay.
And everybody watching this, don't forget to check out the Steam page, download the demo while you can, and wishlist the game. Uh, Let us know what you think about the music and all the other aspects of the game. So thanks for
Okay.
watching, and bye.
Bye.